Who wouldn't want free money? Well, that's the idea behind what's called Universal Basic Income, or UBI. It's something you may have heard politicians and business leaders talking about lately. The version most people think of when they hear the phrase Universal Basic Income is pretty simple. The government gives everyone a set amount of money every month, no strings attached. You get $12,000 and you get $12,000. Everybody gets $12,000. Some governments have been running pilot projects to test this idea. And it sounds pretty good, right? But it's a little more complicated than that. How universal and basic a program like this is depends on how it's implemented. What most politicians are suggesting is a kind of top-up. If your income is under a certain threshold, the government fills in the gap in your bank account. Plenty of working people don't make enough to get by. Supporters believe the basic income can help address widespread inequality and lift people out of poverty. It might even boost the economy. Opponents think it's just a license to be lazy and that it's simply unaffordable. But forget all that. Let's rewind back to 1974 and take a trip to a little place called Dauphin, Manitoba, where basic income got a 4-year test run. Researchers recently looked back at the data and found that high school completion rates rose and hospital visits decreased in Dauphin. One of the reasons for the Manitoba experiment was to answer the key question about basic income programs. Will people just stop working? Studies suggest the answer is maybe. The male breadwinners did reduce their hours, but not by much, and women with young children were more likely to stay home. This data was collected in the 1970s, remember. But a bunch of people who stopped working were teenage boys, which is how you get those lower high school dropout rates. One of the arguments for basic income is that there may soon be less jobs to go around. Whether it's robots in factories, self-driving cars, or artificially intelligent assistants, some futurists fear that automation will eventually replace many human occupations. Almost half of Canadian jobs are at high risk of being affected by automation in the next 20 years. The jobs that are most likely to be lost are the low-paying, repetitive ones that don't require a high level of education, like cashiers and administrative assistants. And the people that lose those jobs can't just switch into the careers that are less likely to be automated, like nursing or teaching. That's why tech leaders care about basic income. When your industry is going to cost thousands of people their jobs, it pays to look like you have a plan to make it up to them. Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla, which is working on driverless cars, thinks that basic income is going to happen. And a Silicon Valley startup incubator is running a basic income pilot program with 100 people in Oakland. But these are the same people who are planning to build colonies on Mars, or escape to a private compound in New Zealand when the world comes to an end. So their ideas about the future are a little out there. Of course, not everyone loves basic income. Critics on the left see it as a way for governments to cheap out on social welfare by replacing all those programs with a single monthly payment. For example, participants in Ontario's pilot program are trading in their pension, employment insurance, and disability benefits. And if a basic income is to be truly universal, then the rich will have to get it too, even if it's just a rounding error on their bank statements. And that seems like a waste. Those on the right see it as the ultimate handout, the worst form of big government interference. And yeah, it'll cost a lot of money. The most universal form, a set amount of money every month for everyone, would likely cost hundreds of billions of dollars a year for a population the size of Canada's. But until all these pilots and studies end, we won't know for sure whether basic income will lift the economy or sink it. We'll just have to wait and see. You get... Oh, fuck, it's 12,000. Okay, all right.